Hi, Vinod. Happy to get your flight out on time today. All passengers are accounted for. The bags are loaded, and the fueling is complete.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks so much. We are ready to depart now that we have our passenger in seat 1A on board.
Take care. Fly safe.
Will do. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to us today. If this is the first time listening to this podcast, welcome aboard. If you're a returning listener, we're glad you're back. Seat 1A provides tips and tricks from more than 5 million miles worth of flying to help you take off from the crowd.
In today's experience, our 50th, recorded on the 3rd of August, 2021, coming to you live from Tokyo, Japan.
Oh, wow. What a surprise and a treat for the flight. So that's where you ended up.
That's right. When we finished up Experience 49, yes, I was mysteriously boarding an aircraft to somewhere, and this is where I ended up. So here I am. I am actually at Haneda Airport in the airport hotel.
And you're overlooking the runways.
That's right. So one of the side gigs I do is I work in a capacity for the Olympic Games. So that is this whole trip. I've been here for a little while now, working for the games. It's part of the thing. So yeah, that was getting on the plane to fly across the ocean was very exciting after the travel shutdown over the last year and a half. But it's interesting landing here and the entire process and this hotel. We're going to go through all of this today.
Excellent.
So on that one, I think I mentioned I flew Air Canada signature class, they call it, business class. Excellent product, excellent flight, full pods, lie flat. But service was still altered. I had flown in this cabin before, and it's amazing. It's the way they do it. It's very a la carte. In this sense, it didn't feel as posh, more so on the food side of things, and very independent. You get to your seat and there's all this kit there. Actually, back it up. Boarding the flight, again, this whole Olympic thing. You board, and then after you pass through the scanning, boarding card scan, they say, okay, go ahead. There's a person there, an agent there, handing out these cool black bags of something, like a surprise gift, especially for the Olympics. So picked it up. So now I have that, the carry-on, get to the seat. Now, of course, the flight's pretty much empty. There's only maybe 6 or 7 of us, less than 10 of us in the business class cabin. There's lots of room. So you got that, you have your carry-on, and you got this monster mattress pad thing, and then the pillow, and then another bag that comes with the seat with like your earphones, the amenity kit. You got to find out where to put all this, because as anyone knows that's flown in the pod setup, you can't stow stuff like in the footwell or up on the nice shelf ledge. So you're scrambling around the seat trying to put stuff away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you sit in seat 1A, the overhead bins are a bit complex because there's usually a lot of crew equipment up there. So you don't exactly get to put your stuff right above you. So you're moving around a bit, trying to get things sorted out.
So crew equipment like what? Like safety?
Safety equipment. Yeah. Like the first aid kit, electronic bits.
Okay.
There's even a crew one up there for the senior purser, but that's okay. Anyway, let's see. There was no pre-flight drink that you would expect.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Plenty of bottles of water that we had. So I immediately opened up this gift bag thing, and it was very cool. It was because Air Canada is a sponsor airline for the Canadian Olympic Committee. So it was this neat partnership thing. And it was all sorts of like food, snack things, more bottles of water. And what else? Oh, there were 2 very important, amazing things that were in that. A free Wi-Fi code.
Nice. For the entire flight.
For the entire flight, which I'm going to try and reuse on the return. And then a 10,000 Aeroplan mile gift.
Wow.
Yeah, that one I was impressed. I'm like, oh, well done.
On top of the nice number of miles that you're getting in business class flying to Tokyo.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So then what else? Yeah, no pre-flight thing. Anyway, settle, get up in the air, all is well. And then the meal is basically just comes all in one tray set, albeit a large tray set. And normally,
you'd have multiple
class,
servings and multiple course servings.
Exactly, and the wine and all that. So it was basically an economy style service methodology, but it was a big tray and a big meal.
What was the meal that you had?
Actually, it wasn't very good. I can't remember now. It was very odd. It was something very strange. I was like, not a fan.
Okay.
The drink service is very limited. So all they had was beer, wine. In terms of alcohol, it was beer, wine, and champagne. And that was it.
As opposed to like hard stuff?
Yeah. They weren't doing any mixed drinks because that was the protocols. Not allowed to do mix, which I found odd because why can't they just give the minis?
Yes.
Right.
And let you mix yourself at your...
Yeah. I don't know if there was a concern about the ice. Maybe that was part of it, having open ice. But I thought it was a bit, I don't know, they could have figured out a way in that one. Or just serve the drink without ice. So be it. If you want to have a gin and tonic ice-free, then okay, that's up to you to accept. If you need the ice, then I guess you're not getting your gin and tonic.
Yeah.
So then, it's funny, they gave the menu on the flight, and it listed the first sort of course, the first food experience. It's all in this fancy, a nice menu. And then it didn't really say anything thereafter about any further meal. But on a 10-hour flight, there's
another
meals.
one coming, at least, yes.
Yeah.
Another full one.
Yeah. Especially in business class, there's usually always like a snack availability.
Mm-hmm.
So the snacks they first put out was like this basket of the chips and the granola bars and all that stuff up on the bulkhead kind of thing. So fine. So enjoyed the seat, movie, etc. I mean, the 87 is a beautiful aircraft, the windows, the tinting, all very nice. So a few hours later, I was like, there's got to be some sort of snack. So I dinged and asked for something. I can't remember what I asked for. And she said, oh, I'm heating up the chicken pot pies right now. If you'd like to just wait a few minutes. I'm like, excuse me? What are you talking about? So the midnight snack was a chicken pot pie.
Well.
Yeah. So now the food experience got better. I was like, okay, this is cool. Yeah, it was really neat. Brought pot pie and, again, drinks limited to non-alcoholic or
beer, wine, and champagne.
Yeah. So then closer to landing, around the time when you think food is going to come, I'm expecting no food. So I ding again. I was like, oh, are there any more pot pies left? Because it was actually pretty good. Like, oh, we're coming out with full service, but if you'd like a pot pie, we can heat one up. I was like, oh, I didn't know there was full service. Sure. And then they came out with lasagna of all things.
All right.
Yeah. So it's just funny how the menu is like almost like half printed.
Okay. Yeah. And a bit disconnected from your meal experience.
Yeah. It was weird. But no, it was great. It was a great flight. Seat comfort was excellent. It can handle, I'm 6 feet tall. You could probably get someone up to 6'4" or 5" in that thing. Comfortably. Yeah. And you can adjust the firmness of the seat on this one. And there's all the tricks and the bells and whistles. The IFE system was fantastic. I didn't even use my noise canceling Bose headset. The default one that they give was just fine, which is surprising. Usually you get a set and it's okay, but never compares to the full experience.
Right.
Yeah. So we land on a hot, sunny day in Narita in Tokyo, and this is where the fun and games begin. So obviously the COVID-19 pandemic is still full go here in Japan. Those of us working for the Olympic Games are coming in under a special exception to be allowed. The country is still closed to any foreign nationals wanting to visit for any sort of tourism. So for the games, obviously. We had to go through a lot of hoops and a lot of checks and balances, but all is well. And I had seen from other friends that had come in that there's going to be this long, multi-hour process at Narita because they do the COVID test on arrival as well, right? So we had talked about the test I had to do prior to the flight and then now on arrival. So you land, and the first thing nobody gets off. We need to basically sort the plane out. Okay. So they said anyone that is a Japanese national living in Japan, get off now. So basically clear out the locals. Sorry, back it up. I'm wrong. Anyone with a connecting flight, get off now. Okay. So a small handful of people go. And on this flight of mine, there was maybe, be lucky if we got 100 on that thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. I had a friend in economy, and they were like stretched flat out. Everyone was like flat out in economy. Yeah, everyone took a row of 3.
Nice.
So they got
not nice for revenue, but nice for the passengers.
No, exactly. So then next was the locals. So, okay, anyone Japanese national local, okay. And then the last group was anyone here for the Olympic Games. Right, okay. So this whittled down to a group of about, on the flight I was on, 30 of us.
Okay.
I'd say. So then you come off the jet bridge, and then in that point where the jet bridge meets the building, there's then this large vestibule, and then they have someone there further sorting any athletes on this side of the hall, non-athletes on this side of the hall.
So this is sort of in the hold area, like the holding room.
No, we hadn't even reached that yet.
Oh, okay.
It's like you come up the bridge, and then it's where you're now standing on building.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So not even
that glassy area
up the ramp to the actual terminal itself.
Yeah,
you're not there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to go through those doors.
Okay.
So we're all being herded left and right. Okay. So athletes, there were a small handful of athletes. I think there were about 10. So they got shipped out. Okay. And all the rest of us in other functions, non-athletes, are now next. So then you come into the terminal hallway section. So in Narita, it's split. If you're arriving, you're on a particular level. And if you're departing, the gates are on a different level. And it joins in the middle by stairs and escalators to actually go to the jet bridge. So what you walk out to then is this long corridor of the moving walkways, which all flights feed into, and it spits you out at customs and immigration and onwards to baggage, etc. So what we then had was basically to sit in these chairs and wait for processing. So they had hundreds of chairs lined up in order, numbered, down this corridor. So they shuttle us over to the next immediate set of chairs, and then we sat for a bit. And then what would happen is, so we were basically one flight pack, if you want to call it. Those of us in the flight in this category, we had to stay together and move together. And it's all very organized, and the Japanese are very polite and very hospitable and respectful, and they asked us to see that your paperwork and this and that. And I looked down the hallway, and there were just hundreds of others in front of us, other flights that were still in queue.
Oh, wow.
In their sort of groupings. So you could see one group would suddenly get up and then go around a corner and do this. And then the chairs would be empty. And then the next group would then get up, move to those chairs. And then, so we would be playing this hopscotch game, moving along.
Chair to chair to chair to chair to chair.
Yeah. So that went on for about 2-ish hours. And no one really told us anything. They just said, oh, waiting for COVID test. Yeah, yes, we know that. But can you explain a bit the process, how long we're doing? But anyway, eventually we get to the point of being shuttled into the testing area. You haven't eaten or drank anything since you stepped off that plane. Well, if you were wise, you had some water, which is fine. But then there's all these signs saying, do not eat or drink for 30 minutes prior to the test. We didn't know, when is that 30-minute mark? Are we going to go for the test now, or is there still 2 hours before the test?
Yeah.
So basically you refrain from having anything because you don't want to screw it up. So then you go into this testing area, and again, more paperwork, go here, do this, get channeled into here, and they do this saliva PCR test. So they give you this little plastic test tubey thing, with this plastic funnel thing on the top, and you need to spit into it. So you have this private sort of separator thing. When you are that dry in the mouth and the amount of spit that they require, they have a little line. Wow, was it a struggle. Just thinking about it right now, which is why I have to drink some water.
And why they said no eating or drinking.
Exactly. It was crazy. And everyone's struggling. You could just see everyone like gasping. Anyway, you then submit your sample. You continue along. You get a passport, do this. And then you go into a waiting area because now you have to wait for the results. Again, nobody explained the logic in the back, which I'll explain in a second. The waiting area was actually very nice because what they had done is they had taken one of the ANA lounges and converted it into a waiting area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much to convert. They basically just closed the lounge for any normal use and put numbers on seats. And so that...
get rid of the buffet tables.
Yeah. So it was very nice. It was like nice lighting, free Wi-Fi, of course, comfortable chairs. And then you sit there, but you don't really know what you're sitting around for. Like, how long was the test take? What's happening in the back end is you're waiting for the entire flight to get tested, not just yourself, because they need to know that if one of the group tests positive, then they got to deal with the situation because then we're identified as close contact or something like that. We didn't know any of that. And then the other thing is like, oh, okay, let's break out the snacks. You know, that black bag I talked about, let's eat. But then we all said, say, for example, one of the tests, something got screwed up and you suddenly have to redo it. Well, now you just added 30 minutes unnecessarily onto the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. To everybody.
So like, ugh. So you're sitting there, and this went on for 2.5 hours.
Sitting in the lounge?
Sitting in the lounge, no updates, just wondering what's going on. Nobody comes and gives you... And again, when you see an agent, because they're bringing different flight groups into other parts of the lounge, you say, what time? And they just say, oh, waiting for test.
No kidding.
Exactly. Like, come on. So, yeah. Anyway, eventually they came and said, okay, everyone negative. Everyone's clear. Great. So we get up. Then it went pretty quick from there. You go through.
Did you cleared customs after that point? Or customs immigration?
Okay. Yeah. So you go through one place for the immigration thing, get the passport, the stamp, you get this orange piece of paper that says you're negative, all the stuff, and then you go through customs. The arrivals carousel area was a ghost town. I mean, for one, there's hardly any flights, and for number two, there's nothing. So all our bags were there, lined up. It was easy. Go through the customs thing, which is just a procedure, and then out to the world. Yeah. So from when the aircraft door opened to when I was at my transportation, not at the hotel, it was just under 6.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, in the terminal. Quite the process.
And so therefore the lie flat and the business class proved useful, because I can only imagine if you hadn't laid out and gotten a half reasonable rest.
Yeah, you'd be pretty cranky after all that. So, yeah. Now the hotel that has been assigned to me under, the work group that I'm with is ironically an airport hotel. So this is the hotel of Haneda Airport Terminal 2. It's literally in the terminal, like it's part of it. So the view I have out my window it couldn't be better for us as Av geeks. I look out at the runway, the ocean, and all the ramp action.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
And is it mostly then domestic at Haneda?
At Terminal 2, it's domestic. Yeah. And it's the ANA terminal. Terminal 1 is the JAL term.
Is it busy?
Terminal 1 or 3. It is busy. It's actually very busy here. There's a lot going on. In a country that has a pandemic, it's busy, which is another thing that's just like, wow. So the terminal itself is pretty nice, very nice. It's all the automated bag drop, self check-in, full on, and in classic Japanese style, there's like a flair of technology to everything in a very polite way. So it's pretty awesome just standing and watching it all go down as I walk by. The terminal itself has amazing food options, so much to choose from, which is great. Which I'm kind of lucky. I mean, I have colleagues, they stay at hotels in city center, and they obviously, if you jump in a vehicle and leave, it's one thing, but around them, maybe they have a handful of eateries. We're pretty lucky here. I got quite the choice if I wanted to.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's also an observation deck.
Oh, wow.
Not a lot of airports have it. Yeah. So it's like on the
most of them
fifth
have gotten
floor.
rid of them if they had them.
Mm-hmm. It's an outdoor patio, a large outdoor patio. And you stand there and stare at the ramp and everything going on.
Nice. And a hint of kerosene in the air.
Yes. The lovely bit there. The ramp. So on this side where I am, there's 787s and 67s.
Okay.
Basically, are the two things I see. When I think about this, the odd 37 out there and the odd 320, but it's pretty much 78s. So ANA uses 787-800s, the Dash 8, which is the original smaller version. And they're a huge operator, the 6, and even Japan Airlines. Like, this is a very heavy 767 country, which is nice to see because that plane is starting to fade out slowly here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. And my window that I can see, I thought, oh, am I going to get some sleep or not? This thing is, I don't know how thick. I don't hear a thing. The occasional rumble from a reverse thrust, but that's it. So
good. Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah. Where I work at one of the venues for the Olympics, which is why we're staying close to the airport, is the venue is close to the airport, is right under the approach path for one of the runways for NATA. So it's fantastic. There's always action flying up ahead, and just like a ostrich in the sand, you just like head up, look, focus.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to the work. Yeah.
There's always a 777, or there was a Delta A330 Neo that just came in the other day, and it was beautiful to see. You see the odd 350. It's quite nice. So,
and you were talking about Lufthansa a couple times.
On the other side of the view, a little bit farther away, but still a great view, is the departure path, and you see everything going in. The other day, I heard something large. I mean, what's going on? And it was a beautiful scene of a Lufthansa 747-8, the Intercontinental, which is the largest version that's ever been made. And there it was gliding out. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Awesome.
Wasn't able to capture it on any sort of camera, but just took in the moment. So there we are. So yeah, for our 50th, here we are. I'm in Tokyo, Japan, at an airport hotel. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, if you had told me, told us 3 years ago that 50 you'd be in Tokyo, and
yeah, it'd be like we're scratching our heads.
Yeah.
You also got on a plane recently.
Yeah, I did a domestic flight in Canada. Flew from Toronto to Calgary with Air Canada. Tickets that were originally booked for Christmas last year, and then Easter, and then got postponed till July. But it was great. I was on their new 220 Airbus, and a nice 2-3 setup. And well, with all the rebookings, they managed to just for a very small amount, $10 each time, change my level of economy to premium seat, and I got a bag check for free. So I was like, all right, I got the cheap prices last October, and then I got a nice seat, and very quiet airplane, very mostly uneventful, a little bit of turbulence, but a pretty smooth ride. And the whole mood lighting and other things that you see in the the larger wide bodies like 350s and things. But yeah, wonderful airplane, and would most definitely fly it again.
Nice. It's awesome. So I'm here for just another week, actually, and then I'll be on the 87 going back. I'm going to be in premium economy on that one.
All right.
And it's going to be very different returning home to Canada, which is essentially in the final strides.
I'll cross our fingers.
Madness. Yeah. I think the airport will be just as busy as when I left, if not busier. Going out of here, it's still going to be quiet, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of want it's kind of nice to leave with a quiet airport, so you don't have all the madness going on. But
True.
yeah. And yeah, so there you have it. Any tips and tricks on this one? Well, if you're going to land in a country that you're going to get tested for pandemic, book a business class seat. And that seat's called seat 1A.
Yeah.
That's the advice. And take all the water you can and snacks, because you may need it for what lies
For the
ahead.
wait, yeah. Yeah, so like if you're landing in Hong Kong or Tokyo or wherever.
Yeah, who knows about what's going to happen to us, but that's what's happened. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, we chatting with our friend at Layovers, Paul. I think when we recorded with him, we were in hopes that we'd be able to be enjoying a glass of sake over here.
And some karage.
Yeah, exactly. Sadly, we weren't able to make that happen. The country is still closed, but shout out to Paul. We will catch you somewhere else in the world, I'm sure.
Exactly. Over a glass of something.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, question about when they disembarked you. Like, did they keep distance between you, or how did that work?
Not really.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. The pandemic response here is ironically not as good as what you would think it is in the rest of the world. Yeah, there was no hard distancing. When we sat in those chairs I talked about, the first round, they were all distanced.
Mm-hmm.
But then, we were running around to each other, showing each other things on our phone, work stuff, personal stuff, and no one seemed to care. Mask on, obviously, for everything.
Yeah.
And then when we were sitting in the A&A lounge, we were only distanced because the seats were big and comfy.
Okay.
But it basically was just like a free-for-all. So, yeah, they're relying on this whole mask thing, I suppose. But in that sense, yeah, you're right. There was no other controls. And in the rest of the country, they're hinging on masks and hand sanitizer everywhere. You go places and it's crowded. There's no hard mentality of, must keep distance. It's just everyone's there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad to see, because I think there's reasons why they are not recovered yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a different place, different state that they're in. So yeah, that's what's going on.
Wild. And as we talk about distancing and people not necessarily trying to keep themselves apart when they're on a plane, they say try to be responsible, but people still have old practices and behaviors. Airbus, just reading an article here on Simple Flying, is working with their 350 with airlines to be able to try to give lighting cues to passengers to know when to get up and to get out, kind of thing. So essentially, the airline would change the color of the lighting. So customizable illumination combined with verbal clues from flight attendants to guide the passengers on board. And so then essentially a combination of colors or a single color can be spaced out in a specific manner and direction, either back to front or front to back. So I think, we may see other people possibly trying to do this as well, at least over the short term, or maybe even over the long term, as they realize it's like, all right, folks, you don't have to stand up yet. Hopefully that's a behavior that might end up sticking around after all of this is done. It's like, yeah, you're in row 34. The plane's just arrived. Like, just calm down. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah. I have this scene in my head there's a commercial long ago of people waiting for someone to say go, and then everyone just rushes it.
Yeah.
It's like the green light, the traffic light for the race.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was brilliant. It's nice. And just the picture that we can see here, it's very cool the way they've set it up. So yeah, anything they can do to kind of ease the flow out. There will always be the people that just don't know or are oblivious to it, of course,
yeah.
Or just choose to.
Or, oh my God, I'm sitting in the back of the plane and I have a connection in 20 minutes.
Yes. See, that's what they got to do next, have a light on a seat for those sorts of things. And then people know that these people have to get out first.
Yeah.
Because it's always that scenario where anyone with a connection, you don't know who it is.
Yeah.
And some people are like too polite to like bust through, depending on what culture we're talking about. But yeah.
Well, looking for improvements in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
All right.
Episode
Well,
50050.
50, and knowing that it's half past early for you in Tokyo.
That's right. Yeah, we're dealing with a 19-hour time difference, I believe.
No, 13.
Sorry, other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13-hour. Yeah. All right.
So I guess it's a time for you to get going and continue on with your events. So I'll let you get ready for your day. So that wraps up Experience 50, a very special one of the Seat 1A podcast.
And here's what we look forward to in upcoming experiences. We're going to look at staff security clearance and how they access to the aircraft to get you up in the air. And we're going to hopefully get some more interviews from some of our listeners and more tricks that we'll pull out of the tickle trunk.
Exactly. So if you like this podcast experience, be sure to rate us and subscribe. Tell your friends and fellow travelers about us. Make sure you visit us at podcast.seat1a.org for complete show notes. That's Sierra, Echo, Alpha, Tango, the number 1, alpha.org. Feedback, addenda, letting us know where we screwed up. You can send that to stories at STORIES at seat1a.org. We've also set up a page at Patreon in case you want to read us there. That's patreon.com/seat1a. Link will be included in the show notes.
And as always, we're happy to hear from you and your crazy travel experiences. Do send us a message and let us know if there's anything you'd like us to cover on upcoming experiences.
So until the next time, I'm Jeff. Thank you for listening to our 50th and listening to all these episodes up to here.
And I'm Vinod. You're cleared for takeoff. Have a great flight.